Well, hello there. It's me, Whitney Andrus. I am your hostess with the half-ass mostess, bringing you the Half a Podcast. This podcast started as a podcast where we examine the line between the things we do in health that really serve us and the things that hurt us. And you might remember it was called Thin Fat Line. In fact, I haven't deleted any of those episodes because it brings so much joy to my life. And I really hope that what happens, that you kind of come to the same conclusion I did. Those were great. And I still love to interview experts, and I still will. We just haven't gotten back there yet. But I wanted to create easily digestible podcasts that really served you and really kind of didn't offer you do this, do that advice, but really just talked about health in new ways. One of my big goals as a health professional and as somebody who is going through this podcast is to really re-examine how we discuss health, how we market health and wellness, and how we get there. So I hope you enjoy this episode of Half a Podcast. We're talking about joy. We're talking about the best environments for health to thrive in. And I hope it brings you as much joy as it brings me recording it. With that said, y'all have enjoyed this episode. And if you love it, hit that plus sign and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. Thanks, guys. Hey there. This podcast, Half a Podcast, yeah, it is brought to you by Half Belly Health. Half Belly Health is health and wellness coaching that works to heal your relationship with food, fitness, and your body so you can have long-term results without white knuckling it. We believe in grace-filled, shame-free coaching. That means that your food journals, we're not sitting there identifying foods as good or bad. We work with people and specialize in working with people who have undergone medical weight loss interventions, whether that be bariatric surgery, any of the weight loss injections, or anything else. If you feel like you want to learn more about it, we are happy to chit chat with you. We offer our signature program, which is food, fitness, and feedback. So this is a great entry-level point if you're like, hey, I just don't know where I am on my fitness journey, and I really don't know that I can afford, and that's a huge thing, fitness coaching and all that good stuff. Then food, fitness, and feedback may be for you. Maybe it has nothing to do with money and you just want something very entry level, kind of get to know, are we the people for you? So what that does is you get this consultation. We see what your goals are, where kind of what you enjoy eating, make suggestions. But beyond that, each week you will, journal your food, how it makes you feel, how hungry were you when you ate it, all this good stuff. No measuring, no calorie counting. We're talking about the why of food, not the metrics. And then you get feedback from a health professional on hey, this is great. Or you know what you could do to make this a little bit more nutrient filled. So we really work with you in your food strategy so you're not running blind. And if you want to learn more information about food, fitness, and feedback offered by Half Belly Health, then I encourage you to go to www.halfbellyhealth.com, read all about who we are, how we started, and the mission behind it, and go ahead and fill out that contact form and we will set up your consultation. I can't wait to see you there and enjoy this episode. Hello. So I've had so many different ideas for what we were going to talk about today and how to really address it. And let me tell you how I settled on what we we're going to talk about and how important I really feel like it is to the grand scheme of health. So there were two events that really kind of got me to this idea that joy is the best environment for health to thrive, 100%. So there were two things. One, I was outside working in my garden, and let me tell you the things that I grow in my garden because I think it will make it make a lot more sense. I grow cucumbers, tomatoes, a mystery pepper. I still don't know what they are. I'll post a picture, and if you know what it is, please let me know. And okra. And then I have a sweet potato like patch, and we have like a little fig tree somewhere. The sweet potatoes, obviously, it's a long harvest. So out of those things, I eat cucumbers and I use peppers in my cooking. I like okra fried. I'm a big like fried okra person. Don't tell me to put it in my gumbo. I am not the Louisiana girl that puts okra in my gumbo. I don't eat tomatoes unless it's kind of like tomato sauce or something like that. Every once in a while I will. But point is, I don't really do the garden because I'm like, I need to like really grow and harvest my own food. It brings me joy. There's something calming about kind of creating it and cultivating that dirt and making it happen, really. And I also have chickens, laying hens, and I don't eat a whole lot of eggs. And you're probably thinking, now that I'm like saying this, it's like, what do you eat? I will eat eggs. I don't dislike eggs. It's just not really my jam, right? But I love having chickens. I love playing with them. I love raising them. I like chickens. And we just got some new chickens, and we have this little chicken area, this chicken coop. And every once in a while I'll take them out and I'll put them in this netted thing and let them run around the like new chickens, and they put their little feet in the grass and they peck around and they forage. And I was leaving it up because it's been really nice weather, and so I was able to do it. It is also cicada season. So the cicadas were coming up from the ground and they were like pressing themselves onto that net, and they were coming to life. And I remember like I made a reel or a TikTok. I don't know. I made one of the videos about it. You can go check it out. But it was just, I remember my husband watching it and he's like, if people watch this, they'd be like, this is straight up a homesteader, right? And I was like, and that's fine. I was like, but I realized like, it's not that it's heavily curated. That is definitely who I am and part of my life. But like, that's not my whole backyard. Like that's really just like a 20 by 30 stretch in my backyard, right? But it just brings me so much joy. And I remember that day, like really kind of like feeling healthier than I had in a long time. And look, I've had a lot of like, I feel great, like whatever, but it just felt really good that day. And I made like some fresh bread and like homemade tomato sauce, and just was really motivated to be like the best version of me as defined by me. And so I was doing this. And then about 2 or 3 days later, I went to coffee with a friend, and shout out my girl, Addie. And I went to coffee with a friend, and we went to this place in Baton Rouge called the Vintage Baton Rouge, and it's downtown, and they make a great cup of coffee. They have a great cortado, which is what I get. And we got a big old plate of beignets. And there is nothing about beignets that screams like nutritional sustenance, right? Like it is a fun food, 100%. And again, we sit there and we're sitting there for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, just talking and catching up and talking about big topics and little topics and all this stuff, and kind of, understanding TikTok algorithms and social media, and like, it's so crazy and confusing, and doing all this and talking about this and like laughing. And I remember thinking like, this is the healthiest meal I've had in a long time, because this is the thing. It's not always about the food, right? Like sometimes it's just not about the food. So the question is, can fun food be both fun and fueling without kind of playing the whole game of, I really like cookies. How do I make cookies that are protein? And, like one of the things I'm going to do later on today is I've been seeing this like cottage cheese cookie dough everywhere. And I'm like, I'm going to try and make it. Like, that's what I do. I'm going to make things. I'm going to try them out. I'm going to let you know how they go. But, you know, can the just truly fun foods, like even if it's just Nestle Toll House cookie dough, can it be both fun and fueling? And I genuinely think the answer is yes, because it goes back to that thing of you can, in a balanced, healthy food strategy, secondary food strategy, you can eat whatever you want, but do not confuse that with consuming as much as you want. But beyond that, it's kind of like, what is it? So I remember the first time I was introduced to fun versus fueling foods. I remember kind of like going through like, what are my fun foods? What do I love? What's going on here? And one of the first things I thought about was donuts with my kids. We used to go get donuts about once a week. Now it's not that much. Life has gotten busier. But donuts with my kids, and how like much fun it is and how much joy that brings and the conversations we have. And it could be anything. It could be ice cream with the kids. It could be anything. Like, think of any of those fun, traditionally fun secondary foods. And how much joy and how much I learned and about my kids' days and what was going on. And there was something like, I'm not giving that up. That feeds me in different ways that are so incredibly healthy. So this idea that fun food can be fueling, because if we go to that concept of primary and secondary food, the idea is like primary food is everything that's not on your plate. It's everything you consume. We talked about that last time, like the podcast you're listening to, the social media feed you're scrolling, like all that good stuff. It's the work environment. It's your relationship at home. It's your, your physical environment, your friendships, like all those things, everything you consume that's not on your plate. And then secondary food being the things you consume that are on your plate. So the beignets, the donuts, the cottage cheese cookie dough, or whatever it is, right? And so the question is, if primary food directly dictates your secondary food and what you're consuming from a secondary standpoint, then of course it is highly important. And fun food becomes fueling, but asking yourself the why. And so I say oftentimes to my clients, the why you're consuming something is oftentimes much more important than the metrics of what you're consuming. Because if you don't understand the why, if you don't understand why you're consuming this or what's going on or what is, where the decision making has come from, then like, what are you going to change? Your caloric intake, your macros? You're going to be white knuckling it through everything. And so really kind of understanding that joy is the best environment for health to grow and thrive, and to find that and to establish the healthy habits that are going to fuel you and you're going to have fun. There is this girl, Annie F. Downs, and she has a podcast that sounds fun. And I remember going to see her podcast live, and it's like, if you're chasing fun, joy will follow. And I always love that line, and I think about it and I've used it, and it's really important because it is. It's like, why is joy so important? Because joy is very different than happiness, right? Joy is that just deep intrinsic thing that even if you're having a bad day, you should hopefully have that joy inside of you. And it's like, joy is ultimately the best environment for your healthiest self to thrive. Because when you're joyful and when things are going well, you're more likely to preserve that. And so it's why oftentimes it's like, what is the best exercise? The one that you enjoy doing, right? Because you're going to be consistent with it. What are the best foods to eat if you want to be healthier? Well, let's start with the foods you enjoy eating. So how do we move past this idea that health is something you need to white knuckle your way through and move to something to be health is meant to thrive in a space of joy. It's meant to bring more joy to your life. And if you look at it like that, then it's not about avoiding coffee and beignets with friends. It's about enjoying them. It's about feeding that conversation, feeding that relationship that in turn fuels you. It's about, maybe it's not always about growing these fruits and vegetables that you eat all the time and being super purposeful in that manner, which, don't get me wrong, things get eaten. Nothing goes uneaten in this house. But maybe it's about the act of gardening. That's what I love. I love digging in the dirt. I love knowing that, and this is going to sound kind of morbid, but as I said, we have chickens, and if something tragic happens to them, they usually get buried in the garden for two reasons. One, I want their life to be purposeful. But two, it feeds. It's fertilizer. It feeds the garden, and I just think there's something so special about knowing. I get tickled because one of the best cucumbers are coming from a branch, and I know that Sweet, which was one of the first chickens that we got, who tragically died, like it wasn't planned, and she died of she got sick. But I just think like, man, Sweet is making us some stuff. My daughter just told her babysitter, she goes, "Oh, Maggie's underneath the blueberry bush. Like, I want these animals to have had purpose. You know, they served me so well. And so like, can they just bring up the best fruit? Like, I want them to be that." And I think that's really important. That took a dark turn. I don't know how we got there, but we got there. But I think my point in that is like, things serve us in different ways. And I think it's really important when you're establishing your goals, when you're establishing what you want your health to look like, that you establish what you enjoy. One of the biggest holdups I hear from people who are doing bariatric surgery or, semaglutides, weight loss injections, anything like that, or even just calorie and macro counting, is they're scared that they're not going to enjoy food again. Like, food's been ruined for them. It's never fun. They're constantly evaluating the calories, the macros, all that good stuff. And they're never really stopping to think about how it can serve them in other ways. And look, this is not me giving you permission to just eat fried chicken all the time. I love some fried chicken. My husband swears by Popeye's spicy. It serves us. When it serves us and enjoying those foods, you can enjoy food and still find success post-bariatric surgery, with semaglutides, with weight loss interventions, even when you're counting macros and stuff. Some of my favorite nutrition coaches and dietitians are people that teach you how to live your life and still achieve your goals with certain food strategies. It's why I wanted to get into this, because once I healed my relationship with food, once I healed my relationship with my body, once I healed my relationship with fitness, I started enjoying it. It's like I started enjoying it, but at first I didn't. It was like, okay, this is a cliche, right? And I say I've healed it, but I think it's like an ongoing process. Like, one of the things I've learned about my own health is that you always kind of chase, can I do a little bit better? But I think the idea is, I consider myself healthy and healed relationships when I'm like, I know better, I do better. And I know now that what is one of the most important things I can do is live a life of joy, because health thrives in joy. And so I hope from everything you've gotten, and the big takeaway, and I'm going to repeat it again, is that health thrives in an environment of joy. And if you are not in an environment of joy, then start there. Evaluate, what can I do to create a thriving environment of joy? And with that said, I'm going to end it there. Please remember, honor your body for what it does, not what it looks like, and that joy is available to you at any size. Wherever you are in your stage of life, joy is available to you. With that said, you are amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in week after week. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, hit that plus sign. I promise to always keep them to easily digestible, fun-filled, joy-filled, all about honoring your body for what it does, not what it looks like, podcast in the best half-ass way possible. With that said, I'm Whitney Andrus. I'm your hostess with the kind of mostest, with the half-ass mostest, and I just can't wait to talk to you again. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. I mean, it really does mean the world to me. And I hope that it brought you as much joy to listen to this podcast as it made me over here recording it. And if you caught it on video, which you can find on the YouTube, then you will see me gesticulating wildly, and that's just kind of how I roll. But if you like that and you want to see more of it more often, more of this like crazy just who I am, then I invite you to go ahead and give me a follow on almost every social media platform there is out there. So on TikTok, I am half a wit, HALFAWHIT. On Instagram, you can follow Half Belly Health at Half Belly Health. And if you just want to follow me as well, I would love for you to. It's just Whit Andrus, WHITANDRUS. And you can follow me on Facebook, Half Belly Health. And I just really looking forward to continuing this conversation. Definitely interact. If you want to hear something on the podcast, if you want to talk about it, if you have questions, we are here. The most important thing though that you can do is just hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening. And, go ahead and leave us at least 4-star review. I mean, maybe we haven't earned all 5 stars, but I feel like we will. And by we, I mean me right now. At least on this podcast, because it's me and my tripod. And let me tell you, my tripod is working hard right now. With that said, y'all have a great day wherever you're listening to it, whatever time it is. And remember to honor your body for what it does and not what it looks like.